That's the second time we've been able to bring that particular demonstration to our facility, and it's always fun to watch it, but more importantly than the fun side of it, the educational component that comes with a greater knowledge of electricity. Everything that they demonstrate today is something that can happen on any given day with anyone. And that's such a big component of what we deal with our guys, but also the extended family beyond us, firefighters, first responders, patrolmen. I think you saw all those groups represented here today, and we wanted to make sure they were all invited to see it as well, because they deal with it as well. When a car hits a pole or something, wreck in the middle of the night, the patrolman may well be the first one there, or the ambulance or something. So that's important to us. So I think you got a better feel for the emphasis we place on safety on a given day, or any given day, and every given day. Over and above that, though, one of the highlights each year of this particular program is an update from Dan Singletary, our CEO, about the cooperative in general. So we'll jump right into that and go from there, Dan.
All right. I'm gonna take these off. I'm left-handed, so my glasses are backwards too. I gotta have them for distance. If I have them on, I can't see. So I gotta take that off. Really appreciate y'all coming. Pike, that is a really neat thing, and some of y'all hopefully saw some things and kind of went, wow, I didn't realize that. You know, our linemen, they've seen it before, and I appreciate Pike coming in and doing that. Pike does quite a bit of work for us, and that's good. That's a little bit what I'm going to touch on as far as reliability in that. The two areas that I'd like to talk about, and each year I try to talk about a couple of little different things. We got many things here at the co-op that are important to us, just for efficiency and just for our members in that. And the two I want to touch on is safety and then reliability. So let me start with safety, because we just saw it. Personnel, safety for our personnel, and then safety for our members. And the members goes all the way down to our members' kids, because you know they're the future members of this co-op. So our personnel, you know, they go through different programs when they're hired in that, and they learn, you know, they get trained through each step in that. They've got book work, and then they've got different tests they have to take, and then they've got on-the-job training, plus we send them to some classes, and then some classes come here. We have at least 12 safety meetings a year for our personnel. 6 of them, we bring in our state association, who has a safety and training department. They come down and train on specific tasks. Then the other 6, we do internally, and we talk about different things. These breakers and that, it's technology. That's a very simple breaker. Now, there's a lot of electronics involved on a breaker, and it's not overcomplicated, but still, it's something new. And so our linemen need to be trained on how these things operate. And I've got guys internally that know them inside and out. They can take them apart and put them back together, and they work. And they don't have extra pieces when they're back together. That to be me. But so we've got a lot of talent here that we use for training in that. We have what's called tailgate meetings. Every time our crews go out, whether they're going out to build a line to a new house, or change a pole, or it may be in the middle of the night putting power back. When that crew gets to wherever they're going to go, the first thing they do is they all meet at the tailgate. And they talk about, here's the job, here's the project, here's what each person's going to do. Everybody understand? This is what we're going to need. Here's where your grounds need to go. And they talk about the grounds. We do that. And then these guys sign off on this piece of paper. It's a tailgate meeting. And so everybody knows what's going on. We don't do it here at the office. We do it at the office. But then when they get out there and see it, then they have their meeting. Again, it's safety. It's two things, really. It's safety and it's efficiency. And that's very important, because, you know, again, it's our members that we're working for. I enjoy going out and watching my crews, and I stand back out of their way. And I think that's important for you to do, is stay out of their way. And the best way I can describe it is they look like a bunch of working ants, because they're all just, but nobody's running into each other. They're just doing something different, and it just goes together. It's pretty fun to watch. The proper PPE, personal protective equipment, we've got it. Our guys know when to use it. They do use it. They test it. They test it daily. I noticed when I was walking through, It looked like we had a truck in in our mechanics garage that comes from our state association, and they test. You saw that rubber hose the guy put on that neutral wire? We have them. They go on neutral wires, they go on primary wires, but they need to be tested also. So this truck comes down, and they test this stuff for us. Our gloves, I believe it's every 3 months, we change our gloves out. We test them. We have them tested. We don't test them here. We send them off to get tested. Oh yeah, make sure it ain't, yeah, I got my keys in case we get locked in. That's one of our internal jokes, sorry about that. So the gloves, they're important. Just like they showed out there, if they get a pinhole in them, you know, it can be dangerous. And one of the things that we do is, because you're gonna have rejected gloves, is when they come back, and if there's a glove that's rejected, even if it's way up here, and you know, they wear the leather over them. What we do is, if we can determine who had those gloves, so they again understand safety, and how that is what could make a difference between them going home or going to the hospital after work. We take that glove to them and say, your glove was rejected. Here's where the pinhole was. And it makes them think, man, I better take care of these puppies and I better test them. And we're not doing it to scare them, but again, it's education. And that's important. The members, our fire departments, first responders, they talked about it out there. They stole one of my notes. Our contractors, they need to have a general knowledge of safety of an electrical system. And so that's one reason why we do this. We go to area fire department meetings and we talk to them and we have great discussions, and you know, they ask great questions and we try to give them knowledge, and we also gain their understanding. So working together, you know, it's efficient and it's safe in that. And our Rural Missouri magazine, that's a very highly rated magazine. We put safety articles in there. Again, safety, safety. You know, what's the phrase? You say it again, and it starts sinking in. And we do that. Radio, we do have spots from time to time on the radio talking about safety. And that's a statewide campaign through, again, our state association, who does this across the state of Missouri for its distribution co-ops. Our kids, you can't start too young. Talking about climbing trees. In 2011, working with Show Me Power, who is the co-op, you know, as part of the co-ops in Missouri, they're the ones who own the electrical substations in our area. They help us, and we go to our area schools every year. And we talk to different grades, different classes. But in 2011, we gave demonstrations or discussions with over 3,500 of our kids. And that's important. And these kids will go home, and we've heard stories about the kids telling the parents, hey, you can't do that, or this ain't safe. You got too many things plugged into that one wall outlet. That's great. So the kids go home and share it, man. And we do presentations other places. Chamber of Commerce, different organizations. If they ask us to come, they may ask us to come and talk on a different topic. But while we're there, we try to work in something about safety. That big demonstration you saw, there's a group of cooperatives that have a similar demonstration on a lot smaller scale. It's on a tabletop. Like at our annual meeting, we always have it out in the lobby, where it's one of the first things our members see. And we've got 2 employees behind the table. And the guy that's working it, he's got rubber gloves on. And I think maybe 120 volts. I'm not sure what it is. That's right. Yeah. But it shows the same thing. He'll have a wand, and he'll reach over like a ladder and touch it to a power line, and it bzzz, and you hear it and you see it. But he shows different things. The backhoe digging, he shows this. So it's the same demonstration, just a lot smaller in that. And a lot of members come over. I think at the home show, sometimes we have it there. So it's safety. It's hard to not stress it enough. Reliability. That's another thing that we have worked hard over, last 20 years at least, to keep improving our reliability of electrical service for our members. Again, like they were talking outside, we have a big dependency now on electricity for what we do with it. We don't ever want to have outages, but it's going to happen. We try to do everything possible to make it not happen, but it's going to happen. You know, we've got this thing called Mother Nature, and she can get cranky. We do have the animals. We do things now trying to cover up certain pieces of equipment, but still, you can't do it 100%. You know, we had up here in the substation a month or so ago, a black snake got in. You know, those things. This was big. They said this thing was big around as a Coke bottle, so it was long. And so you can imagine that long. It's to be like that cord he had out there. It caused some issues. We went up, got the snake off, what was left of it, and got things restored in there. But reliability, it is important, but not just outage-wise, but voltage-wise. Trying to make sure our members have the quality of service that they deserve. And we work on this. So let's start at the generation level, at the actual power plants. Here in Missouri, cooperatives, and there's 40 of us at the distribution. There's 40 Howell-Oregons, I guess you can say. And then we've got the ones who own the substations, and then we actually have a cooperative that we formed many, many years ago that actually owns our generation responsibility. Here in Missouri, cooperatives, we own our own generation. We own our own power plants. We don't have to rely on any other utility anywhere else in any other state to get power to our members. That is a great feeling, and it has paid off big time. We need to make sure that we have and maintain an adequate supply of power for our members so that we don't ever have to become what's termed an importer of power. That's just not a good situation. You've heard across the United States of blackout and brownouts. You know, we've got the power, and it's a great thing. We've got different type of power plants from base load from our coal that we have spent over $1 billion on. The term is cleaning them up, meeting the regulations. We actually exceed the regulations that are in place. $1 billion, that's a lot of money. And there can be discussions both ways. Is it really needed? Yes, it is needed. Well, the way we look at it is whatever is decided, we will comply. Now, we feel like it's our responsibility to let our members know. We will comply. Our goal is to provide the lowest cost electricity we can to our members. And this is rural America. You know, and our members, well, the economy. So we are trying our best to keep the cost. And the cost of power is the biggest expense our members have. So we're trying to control that the best we can. So where I just mentioned, we've spent over $1 billion, you know, on the environmental equipment for our power plants. Those costs come back to all the members that get provided from those power plants in that. But still, when you look at our electrical rates, Missouri, they're one of the lower cost states, and then cooperatives are below the average. Average, I'm going to say average to below average for utilities in Missouri now. So again, it just shows we're trying. We are responsible to our members. You've got investor-owned utilities in Missouri and other places too, and they've got the stockholders. So they've got to make a margin for those stockholders. Plus, they've got to make a return on their investment to put money back in their plant. We don't have the stockholders. Our goal is to keep our costs as controlled as we can so we can control the costs for our members. It's a great setup. And I'm not proud at all to be part of it, you can tell that, huh? I have now been here a little over 27 years, and it's a great honor. That's the way I look at it, to be working for the members of this co-op. So power plants, we've got the base load coal. We also have what's called combined cycle gas. Okay, they're more efficient gas power plants. Then during the hot days of summer or the extremely cold days of winter, we have what's called just a simple cycle gas power plants. Those are for the peaking times. You know, we kick them on. They cost less to build, but they cost more to run. But we've got them for when we need them. It's a good balance. But something else we started doing even before people started talking about mandates and different things on renewable energy is we started working, and we now have contracts with wind farms that the cooperative members benefit from. When the wind's blowing and that's a key. When the wind is blowing, we can supply over 60,000 homes with wind power when the wind's blowing. In the summertime, when it's 100, 102 degrees outside, most of the time you don't have much wind, do you? So you've got to have your base load power plants so that our members can still have energy. But we've got it. Hydro. We've got these lakes around here. They need rain, but we've got these lakes. Cooperatives benefit from the lakes, from the hydropower. So we do invest in the renewable type energy also for our generation. Substations, I mentioned them. We have 21 electrical substations in our service area. Okay? We've got right at 24,000 members and 4,800 miles of distribution line. So these substations are spread out. Again, it's reliability and quality of service is why we've got all these. What's neat, hopefully I'm right, still going dispatch?
Yes, we are.
Okay. In our substations, we've got technology. Those breakers, again, I mentioned about the electronics. We have a system here called SCADA. Don't ask me what SCADA stands for, because I'd have to make something up. But what it does is, from the dispatch room, our dispatchers can see our substations. And they may get a message that says, hey, this breaker just opened in the substation. And they can actually call the crew, they can go find the fault out on the line, and they say, okay, we've got it fixed. They don't have to spend the time to go to the substation to close in the breaker. They tell the dispatcher, all right, we're clear, we're safe, I've got everybody accounted for, close it in. Dispatcher sits right there, clicks his little mouse, closes the breaker in. It's efficient and it's safe. We check voltage. We can check voltage in all this. We also may have a situation where we need to open one of those breakers. There might be something. We can do it right from our dispatch room. So again, it's just efficiency and it's safety. Really neat. That's pretty exciting. Distribution. Let me turn to it. Our right-of-way program, 4,800 miles of electric line. You know, it's through some beautiful country. It ain't all through farmers' fields, so you've got trees out there. So we clear our right-of-way. You know, trees, storms, trees, they love power lines, seems like. It seems like they just get drawn to it. We've got our right-of-way, excuse me, re-cleared really, really good. Doesn't mean we're not going to have a tree, because, you know, right-of-way can only be so wide. Storms, when you've got 30 feet on each side of a power line, and you've got a tree that's 40 feet away, but it's 60, 70 foot tall, and if it's weak, it could reach. So we do have those situations in there. But we try to keep our right-of-way just as clean as we can. We perform what's called our engineering studies right here in-house. I've got an engineer, he's licensed to do it. And what he does is he studies our electrical system, every one of our electric lines. And he looks at the loading during the peak conditions of our electric lines to see, okay, do we have anything coming up in the next 3 to 4 years that we need to start planning to address? That way, we can address it before the line reaches its capacity. And many, many years ago, there was times where it was reactive. This year, you know, we've had some major heat. My guys are out there, they study it. He takes his computer model from this work plan, and he has his numbers, and then he's got a guy who goes out and he gets real readings, and he compares it to his model for accuracy in that. And the system has really done well this summer, and we're proud of it. You know, peak. I've had I don't know how many members say, how come you haven't called peak alert? Which, that's so neat when the members ask this, because that's extremely important. Because peak alert, if we do set a peak, that's when them expensive, simple cycle gas turbines are kicked in. It's basically just a big jet engine. So you can imagine what it costs to pump fuel through that. Those are expensive. You don't want to run them. So if we set a new peak, it can cost, I should say, it could add hundreds of thousands of dollars to our cost of power for a year. So we watch that. Why haven't we called it this year? We haven't reached our peak. What we set last year, we haven't reached that. And that's the number we watch. We don't want to call it just because we may be getting halfway close to it, you know, because our members, you know, they need this electricity. So we wait until it starts getting close to that. And we've asked ourselves, and I've talked to other co-ops, why haven't we reached peak? It's been triple digits. What's going on? And I don't have a great answer for that. Some of the things we come up with is, for many years, cooperatives, and again, before the government now started talking about energy efficiency, we've had programs for our members for energy efficiency. We've tried to educate them on energy efficiency, and we've still got these programs. So we're hoping over the many years, this has helped keep our peak down. Our economy, is that part of it? Just, our members are conserving. Humidity. It seems like, to me, that it hadn't been as humid this year. And I may be wrong. You know, the Weather Service might be able to show it has. But from being outside, and I try to be outside as much as I can, especially on weekends. That's fun. But it just doesn't seem like it's as humid. Now, last Sunday, after we had that rain and that Saturday night, Sunday, it was muggy. But we weren't up there in the triple digits. I was thankful for that. But it seems this summer it just hadn't been as humid. So is that another factor? I don't have the scientific answer. That's just something that we've talked about. But we haven't reached peak, so we haven't called peak alert. That's a great thing. Helps control costs in that. Some of the things that we've done, that we've recognized in our engineering studies, is like the Koshkonong sub. We saw in the future, it's going to be having some capacity issues. Not today. But last year we worked and we upgraded that Kosh subsystem. This year we're working on what's called Couch sub. And it's down by Couch. We're doing the same thing with it. We don't have issues today, but it shows that we could. So we are planning ahead and we're working on that system right now this year. And Pike's helping us. Really good company. We inspect our utility poles. We probably have 80 to 90,000 utility poles. We inspect over 10,000 poles a year. That's what my guys directed to do. Last year, we changed over 550 poles that were reaching the end of their life. And that's important. Again, it comes back to reliability for our members. It all comes back to the members. I mentioned about peak. So safety, reliability, quality of service, that's two of the areas that's real important to this co-op, going back to the members in that. Any questions for me?